My name is Alexey Hitrov. I'm with Id R&D. Id R&D is a biometric vendor, so we want to talk about authentication. And of course, authentication is not necessarily the most exciting part of any user experience. So can I ask you if there's anybody in this room who's actually excited to do authentication when you're trying to get access to financial services? Shockingly, no one. So we all hate doing authentication. It's a nuisance in user experience, and yet it is absolutely essential part for providing access to remote data, access to transactions, access to financial services. So what Id R&D is doing is actually bringing those two things together. We believe in a very strong security when it comes to authentication through the use of biometrics, but we also believe in user-friendly user experience, and when it comes to authentication, in reduction or in some cases, elimination of the user experience. So what drives this? So of course, authentication is important because we want to make sure that the bad guys are not getting access to the wrong type of data. And every day we hear stories about breaches of security with various financial institutions. And typically the reaction is, let's crank it up, let's make the life of the customer a little bit more miserable. Let's make sure that the passwords are going to be changed on a quarterly basis, and now we'll have to include the capital letter, the numbers, the special signs, and so on, and we cannot remember them at all. And the problem, of course, is that the passwords and the PIN codes and in OTPs and so on, the traditional authentication methodology is not only not user-friendly, but it's also not very secure. So the biometrics been around for a number of years now, and there was a lot of expectations that they're going to be replacing this traditional authentication methodology, but it's not necessarily happened yet. And the key reasons for it are twofold. So one is that there's still certain security gaps that can be found in some biometric modalities, and we'll talk about that. And then the second part of that is lack of the user-friendly user experience, so the customers would demand that. And that's what Id R&D is doing. We're a leading technology vendor. We develop new generation of core technology that provide a comprehensive approach to security when it comes to biometrics. Introduces technology that are reducing the amount of friction when we see the biometric authentication, and brings biometrics into the new and exciting digital channels that we see in the world. So when we talk about the comprehensive biometrics, what does it mean? It means that a good biometric technology must answer not one, but actually two questions. Is this the right person? So we're matching two samples and we're confirming that this is the same person. But we also need to answer a question, is this a person? Versus a recording, a picture, a video, and so on and so forth. And if you can match two samples and they're correct, but you can spoof that system with a simple photo or video or recording, the value of the system from the security standpoint is pretty low. And then we talked about the importance of the user experience and reduction of the user experience. So what we're doing essentially, we're humanizing the authentication process. When we're meeting our friends in the morning, we're not asking them for user ID. We're not asking them for any specific secret words. We know who they are by the way they speak and by the way they talk. And this is exactly what Id R&D is doing here with our application that we call Safe Chat. And I'm going to do something that everybody's saying that we should not be doing because it always leads to some kind of problems, and that's a live demo. So here's the Safe Chat. So the Safe Chat is essentially, that's a virtual assistant that brings all the biometric capabilities together to allow this frictionless experience. So let me show you. What's the balance on my account? So I can talk to the chatbot. I can also type, show my, for instance, show my transactions, if I can type correctly, of course. My transactions. And I can get access. Well, the lighting is pretty poor here, so let's do it again. Show transactions. So I can see the information about my account. I haven't done anything at all from the security perspective. So let's see if Magdalena, who will play a role of a bad guy here, tried to get access to my account.
What's the balance in my account?
So she's asking for the same thing, but her access is being denied. Can you type something as well? So what we're seeing is the 5 layers of biometrics and 0 user experience when it comes specifically to the authentication. We're using voice biometrics, voice liveness, facial recognition, facial liveness, and behavioral biometrics all come together, working here to provide this simplicity of user experience. So essentially, there's no user experience that's related to authentication, while we providing extremely high accuracy of the authentication itself. So let's go back to the presentation, and let me introduce quickly ID R&D. So how are we doing this? Our competitive advantage is a strong R&D team. We're built around one of the strongest teams in the industry, and we developed a portfolio of biometric modalities that can allow this frictionless user experience and comprehensive biometrics. We're talking about the voice biometrics, we're talking about voice liveness, behavioral biometrics, and passive facial liveness, and we'll quickly talk about that as well. We have an amazing team. I'm not going to read all the bios. These things are important. These graphs are showing that ID R&D is the #1 technology when it comes to voice biometrics and voice liveness, according to the world's largest performance benchmark evaluations by NIST and in ASV Spoof. One of the lines in the list of modalities that we're doing here was passive facial liveness. And this is a very important technology because it allows to provide integrity to the facial recognition. Facial recognition, face biometrics are gaining popularity in a lot of cases, but it's also increasingly easy to spoof with a fairly simple methodology. And what ID R&D is doing is that we build a technology that essentially can distinguish between a live person and a picture, video, mask, and so on and so forth, without any active participation from the user. So it's a completely passive experience. There are some solutions on the market right now that answer the same question, but they do it either through asking a user to do something with the phone or do something with the face, smile, blink, open your mouth, eyes, blast your face with colors or something like that. We're doing none of that. It's all AI-based analysis of a single shot or of a single frame. And I'm going to do another crazy experiment here and show you this technology at work. So all you have to do, you just need to take a selfie, and typically it's the same selfie you're taking for the purposes of facial recognition. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to do a selfie with all of you guys, if you don't mind. We can see that the technology immediately showed that I am indeed the live person. But if somebody will try to get into my account using, for instance, this photo, or it can be really any photo or mask or, let me just make sure that you can see it properly, mask or any type of visual representation of the person, that attempt would be denied. Here's another example. So again, we're talking about the biometrics without a user experience. I have about 10 seconds left, so let me share the rest of the 23 slides that I prepared for this presentation. Basically, what we're doing, we're doing the core biometric modalities, of which we're building applications for some specific use cases. We showed you the application within the virtual assistant and chatbot world. We showed you the facial liveness, which is extremely hot commodity right now in the space specifically of the digital onboarding. When people open accounts, they want to make sure that when you're comparing the photo in a document with the selfie, that it's actually a person who is taking a selfie. It's not your photo from a LinkedIn account. Of course, the biometrics are replacing traditional passports, especially with the simplicity of the user experience. Call centers, physical access, and I will probably stop right here because I'm already way past my time. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much.